for threatening to divorce my wife over my son? Original post. Hi everyone, I 39 male have been facing a dilemma with my wife, Katie 32 female, because of my son Bran 15 male. For starters, Bran is my son from my first marriage with Anne, 39 female. We met and dated in college, had Bran during our junior year, and got married not long after graduation. We were married for 6 years and dated for 2, so all in all we spent 8 years together. Our divorce was not a big deal. We both realized that while we worked as a great team parenting, neither of us was genuinely happy being married to each other. We tried going on dates, spending more time together and even going to therapy. But nothing worked, so we decided it was best for us to separate. It was all amicable, no bad-mouthing, no backstabbing, no fighting for full custody. I co-own a business with one of my old college buddies. It's successful and requires some traveling, and I make more than decent money. Despite our separation, I made sure Anne was taken care of in order to make sure that my son was taken care of. Anne kept the house, one of the cars, and we split custody of Bran. Instead of just sending a check every month, I paid for Bran's education, healthcare, etc. Anne greatly appreciated this, and we've always stayed on good terms, even after she remarried. Now on to my problem. I met Katie a few years ago while at a friend's wedding. We chatted, danced, and genuinely had a good time. I found her funny, smart, and ambitious. We exchanged numbers after that and went on a few dates before making things official after 4 months of getting to know each other. I was honest with Katie about my ex and my son from our second date. I explained that I lived 2 blocks from my ex, that my son came over unannounced a lot because, well, he could, and that he came first in my life. At the time, Katie said she understood, and I believed her, especially after she met Bran for the first time, and they bonded over a shared love of Star Wars. Fast forward, and Katie and I have been married for 3 years. My son was my best man at our wedding, and he has a good relationship with my wife. All was well before the topic of kids was brought up. To be honest, we talked about it before we got married. I was clear that I wasn't too on board with having another kid. Again, Katie said she understood and that she was okay with not having kids. But 2 months ago, she sat me down and asked if I'd consider having a kid with her. I was a little taken aback and told her I'd think it over. My wife was a little pissy that I didn't give her an immediate answer, but said she'd give me time to think. Well, that was 2 months ago, and finally last Sunday, my wife brought it up again, impatient and demanding that I give her a straight yes or no answer. Not wanting to hurt her feelings, I said no, that I saw no point in having a baby at the moment, but that we should revisit the topic in another year or so. I thought it was a reasonable response, but I guess it was the wrong one. My wife blew up at me, shouting about how she'd been understanding and patient all this time, that she'd been putting up with my past memories, and accepted my flaws as a partner. I was so shocked and confused, especially by the past memories comment, and asked her what she meant by that. Her explanation shocked me to my core. Turns out, Katie saw my son and my ex as a flaw of mine. Apparently, they are in the way of us truly being happy. She went on to say that she'd been waiting for me to finally move on from them and put her first, which made no sense to me. Sensing my confusion, Katie kept explaining. Apparently, I should only send my ex a check monthly instead of paying for my son's education and other important things. I let Bran come over too much. I attend events where my ex is present, such as soccer games, holidays, birthdays, and an occasional family reunion between my family and my ex's family. Oh, and talking privately to my ex. That's a big red flag according to my wife. All this left me shocked. Like, how is me being a good present dad a bad thing? How is texting my ex about big birthday gifts, school trips, and finances related to Bran a red flag? And besides, the event thing made no sense. Did she really expect me to miss out on moments with my son just because of my ex who is married? The answer? Yes. She basically said that she wanted me to be more like a weekend dad and put her above my son because I'm her husband and she should come first in my life. We had a huge argument and a lot of truths she'd kept hidden came out. I threatened to divorce her if she kept acting like this because she's clearly been lying to me for years about how she felt, and now her true colors have come out. She blew up at me and is now staying with her parents, not answering my calls or texts. I love my wife, but my son is my main priority. And yes, I'm friendly but respectful with my ex. We communicate through texts and see each other occasionally at the store, a soccer game, or holidays, where we're never alone together and only speak about Bran or trivial matters. I apologize for this being so long, but I felt like putting the right information was important. So, am I the a-hole for threatening divorce after finding out how my wife actually thinks about my son? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. Unfortunately, I doubt she will ever change. She needs to be told bluntly that she will never be a bigger priority than your son, and you would never give up time with your son because of her jealousy. Seems like your only flaw was marrying her. Not the a-hole, but if she comes back and love bombs you, beware of a baby trap. Wanting to isolate you from important people in your life is a huge red flag. And if you were a woman writing this, everyone would be pointing out how this is a form of abuse. The same point applies to you. What I don't understand is why you're just threatening and not filing for divorce. This woman seems to see your son as someone you'd get over, as if he's an illness and not your child. She wants you to be an absentee father to your son and yet have children with you. She's threatened by a woman you moved on from before you ever met her. You laid out for her the role your son has in your life, your lack of interest in another child, and yet she wants to make you over in some imaginary image she has of you. Although I will say, you telling her you might consider another child in a year or two was a bit passive-aggressive. She's shown you who she is. Believe it. Now call a divorce attorney. Now for the first update. Hi everyone. Thanks so much for the support and advice. I really appreciate it. I would have updated sooner, but things are kind of messy at the moment. 3 days ago, I went to my wife's parents' house in hopes of talking things out with Katie. We sat in the living room with her parents in the kitchen nearby in case things got heated between me and my wife. I asked if she really meant what she said about Bran, and she just shrugged. I asked if she hated him, and she said no, but she does think it's unnecessary how much time I spend with him. Here's where I might have been an a-hole. I asked if the roles were reversed. How would she feel if I had a son with her but neglected him in favor of a new wife? She got pissed and started calling me every name in the book, shouting about how I shouldn't shove the fact that she doesn't have a kid yet in her face. Her parents came in and got her to calm down. Maybe I should have backed off, but I kept asking questions anyway. I asked if she would have neglected Bran if I'd had a baby with her earlier. She only said she would have prioritized that kid. I then asked why she's mad that I prioritized my son, when she admitted she'd prioritized the imaginary baby over her stepson, and she didn't answer. I said I wanted to go to couples therapy. She refused and said that I'm blowing things out of proportion and making her out to be the bad guy. That wasn't my intention, so I apologized, but she just asked me to leave. Before I left, I tried kissing her, but she backed away. I asked if she'd be home for Thanksgiving, and she said no. Before leaving, I told her that I'd be speaking to a divorce lawyer after the holidays, and she refused to even look at me. I think it's the end. I love Katie, but after everything that has come to light, it doesn't seem like there's anything left of my marriage to save. Skip forward, and Katie and I have been married for 3 years. My son was my best man at our wedding, and he has a good relationship with my wife. All was well before the topic of kids was brought up. To be honest, we talked about it before we got married. I was clear that I wasn't too on board with having another kid. I can't help but wonder if you were as clear with her as you make it sound on first pass. The first reason is what I quoted, which is why I'm asking you to better explain how it came up. Obviously, the kids' talk is something that should happen before the rings come out, and you already have one. I'd think it's a subject both of you are eager to handle, albeit for different reasons. So your use of, to be honest, is strange to me, as it comes off almost guilty to me in comparison to something I'd expect you to be a bit more declarative about. Something more like, we even discussed it before we got married and I told her in no uncertain terms and she was fine with it, kind of thing. But there is a tepidness to your description, which brings me to the other part of this excerpt where you say something that strikes me as very oxymoronic. You were clear that you weren't too on board. I'm sorry, but that is not exactly definitive, and false hope is a weed that will thrive in even the dimmest light shone on it. Now here we are with you threatening divorce, which doesn't make you an a-hole, but it does seem to fit the theme. It's kind of like brandishing a weapon without putting it to use. It makes you seem unsure and gives the other person a chance to counterattack. Maybe that was your intention, to seem unsure and to give her a chance to talk you out of it. I know this isn't your first divorce, but it sounds like your first one was above average in its smoothness and amicability, so maybe it spoiled you a little. Maybe it's something else entirely. I'm honestly not sure, but there's enough uncertainty swirling around that I find myself curious. We had the talk a few weeks before our wedding. Katie initiated the conversation while we were cooking together one night. She asked me if I saw myself having kids with her. I was honest and said that I wasn't too certain about having another kid soon or in the future. I then asked her if my answer was no, would that be a problem for her? And she said no. We kissed and focused back on cooking, and the topic was never brought up again until recently. Your comment did make me question myself, and I am now wondering if I unknowingly gave her hope that my answer would change from a maybe to a yes not long after that conversation. Even now, I am unsure if I'd ever want another kid, with Katie or someone else. The thought just gives me mixed feelings. Also, I did not see threatening divorce as a weapon of any sort. Currently, I am struggling between divorcing her and wanting to fix our marriage. I really love Katie and the life we built together. However, the rational part of my brain is telling me to end things and keep her far away from my son. The things she said about my son have left me hurt and disgusted. But are they enough to end my marriage? This is the question I keep asking myself, even though the answer is obvious. It's not your fault, but in the future be emphatic that the answer is no. Both women and men will have hope that your mind will change otherwise. It is human nature to believe you will get what you most desire in the end. Second update. After a recent reevaluation, I've decided to file for divorce. I haven't yet and don't plan to until after the holidays, but my marriage is definitely over. I know I've been hesitant about whether or not to end things with Katie, but now I know for sure that I can't stay with her. Let me explain. Katie came home on Sunday after Thanksgiving. She looked tired, like she hadn't been sleeping, but she also looked really sad. We sat down in the living room to talk, and what I learned shocked me to my core. She's pregnant. I was shocked and still am. How did I not notice? Why didn't she tell me? The reason still has me reeling. Turns out, Katie was trying to baby trap me. Yeah, you read that right. When she first brought up the topic of kids again, she apparently had baby fever and realized that she really wanted one. After I, in her words, turned down the chance of ever having kids with her, she was furious at me. Katie explained that after our conversation, she talked it out with a friend who suggested baby trapping me. This friend apparently assured Katie that I loved her too much to just leave her with a baby and that I would change my mind once the baby was born. Katie, being a total idiot, believed her and hatched a plan to get pregnant. This next part made me freaking livid. Katie confessed to poking holes in my condoms and stopped taking her birth control. I don't know the full timeline or how far along she actually is, but my guess is a bit over 2 months. After my second rejection to having more kids and the blow-up that followed, Katie, now pregnant at that time, realized that my main priority was, and still is, Bran, that I wouldn't put a new baby first over him. Nor would I limit or cease interacting with my ex-wife. She said that this realization is the reason she left to stay with her parents, as she feared what would happen next. Throughout all this, I was pretty quiet, taking it all in. I didn't really say much. I just told her that I'll be filing for divorce and would like for her to move out as soon as possible. I left and drove around aimlessly for hours, alternating between crying and raging, which is embarrassing to think about now. Not much has happened since then. Katie refused to leave for a few days, begging and saying that we can fix our marriage and have a happy family with a baby. But I can't do that. For starters, she still believes what she said about Bran. Not only that, but she tried to freaking baby trap me. Like WTF? All trust is broken between us, and I genuinely don't think I could ever forgive her. I'm not really sure where to go from here. Divorce is a no-brainer, but Katie is still in the house, still begging me not to leave her, promising to go to therapy and work on herself. But none of that can convince me to stay with someone who broke my trust and betrayed me in one of the worst ways. How do I tell my family, Her family, friends, what should I say to Bran? With Christmas just a few days away, my family and Anne's family are coming over for our yearly party at Anne's house. I don't want Katie to come, but I especially don't want to deal with people asking why my wife isn't there. This sucks. I'm so angry and hurt right now, but I feel like I can't even express it openly at the moment. So where do I go from here? How do I go about telling people? Most importantly, what the heck am I supposed to do about the baby? She committed stealthing, which is a form of rape. I'm sorry, but you need to reconsider this marriage. Don't worry, I'm already planning on divorcing her. And while it may sound cowardly, I don't really want to think about the fact that my wife basically SA'd me. You didn't do anything wrong. You were frank the whole time, but she decided to bet on the most stupid manipulation a woman can do. There is no going back to this marriage. But if the child is yours, I hope the same love you give to Bran, you give to this innocent child who is not to blame for her mother's actions. You've achieved a great relationship with Bran. You'll manage to be a good father to this unborn child, but maintain communication with the mother via a co-parenting app and lawyer. She is a manipulator. Therefore, everything with her must be in writing and with a judge's stamp. Good luck, OP. I believe the unborn baby is mine. I have no reason to think otherwise at the moment. Therefore, I plan to be involved in the child's life. I do have a nagging feeling that Katie isn't going to co-parent easily since she doesn't want to get divorced. You need to set the record straight as soon as possible or she will turn it on you. You also should get a DNA test anyway because it might not be your child. Please tell me you didn't have sex with her after she brought up wanting a baby. We typically had sex 2 to 3 times a week, so I didn't think much of it at the time. And I don't believe Katie would have cheated on me to get pregnant. You used to believe Katie loved your son. Katie isn't the woman you thought she was. You should get the test anyway. I've come to terms with the fact that she's not the woman I thought I married. I dislike thinking that she went so far as to cheat on me to get pregnant, but I now realize that a test is necessary for my peace of mind, at the very least. Now for the present update 11 months later. Hello everyone. I know it has been a while since my last update, and for that, I apologize. It's been a crazy year so far. I also want to thank everyone for all the support and advice. It's meant so much to me. I know you all probably want to know how the situation is going, so I won't waste any more time. So much has happened, so I'll try to organize everything without going into a lot of detail. Me and Katie's relationship. My divorce from Katie was finalized back in April of 2025. It was mostly thanks to Katie's parents that the divorce went so smoothly. For context, after the new year, I sent out a long email to my parents and Katie's parents explaining everything, from the baby trapping to what she said about Bran, and that I was planning to divorce her. I laid it all out for them, and after a week of silence, my father-in-law, Katie's dad, personally reached out to me and apologized on behalf of his daughter. He also said that he and his wife would support my decision to divorce Katie and make sure she didn't cause any problems for me. I didn't find out until later, but her parents had threatened to cut her out of their will if she refused the divorce any longer. In the end, I kept my house, as I'd had it long before I met Katie, and it's always been in my name. I also kept my car. As for money, Katie and I always had separate bank accounts, except for a joint account that we used for bills, groceries, Wi-Fi, etc. We did a 50-50 split of the joint account. I do have to pay her alimony and child support, which I'm all right with. As for Bran, after the new year, I had a sit down with Anne and her husband because he's also very involved in my son's life. I told them about everything that was going on between me and Katie and what Katie had done. We ended up sitting Bran down with all 3 of us there. I told him the truth about what Katie said and how she felt toward him, that she had lied for years and hidden who she really was. Bran took it pretty well. He was upset, of course, and asked a lot of questions, but ultimately he asked if I was okay and if this meant that I had to move away. I firmly said no and that I wasn't going anywhere. Bran was quite happy about that and gave me a long hug. And yes, I did tell him about the baby, but not about how it came to be. Just that it was an unexpected accident. He's a smart and tough kid, but he's still a kid. He doesn't need to know about it just yet. I'll tell him when he's older. About the baby, this has been a very big emotional roller coaster. Katie did go through with the pregnancy, which I wasn't surprised about given the lengths she had gone to in order to get pregnant in the first place. I won't lie, I was emotionally detached during the pregnancy. I showed up to all the appointments, I helped build furniture, and I even painted the walls for the nursery. I showed up, I was there, I helped. But emotionally, I felt far away. Katie tried to get back with me several times, even attempting to seduce me, which led to me telling her father about it. I don't know what he said to her, but Katie did back off and stop the harassment. Now, the part I'm sure everyone is curious about, the baby. In early June of 2025, Katie gave birth to a healthy baby boy. I was there the whole time for the birth. It was hard since I wasn't emotionally invested in the pregnancy, but I also didn't want Katie to go through labor alone. We did a DNA test because I decided I needed it for my own peace of mind. I'm 100% the father. This took a huge weight off my chest, and I felt like I could finally breathe after months of drowning in doubt and worry. We named our son Sean and have 50-50 custody. I get Sean for a week and then vice versa. Bran loves his baby brother, although he does complain about the noise at night, so Anne and I agreed to let Bran sleep at her house during the weeks that I have Sean over. In the end, I have another son whom I've been getting to know. Learning to care for a baby feels like I'm doing it for the first time again. It's scary but fun. I didn't miss changing diapers and will eagerly wait for the day that Sean is old enough to stop using them. Baby is healthy and hitting all his milestones on time. I can now say that I've been divorced twice, which isn't something I thought I'd ever have to say. I'm definitely taking a break from dating for a while, maybe forever honestly. Also, I thought I'd share some happy news. Anne and her husband are pregnant. She's due in December and I'm very happy for them. They're great people. Bran is taking all these changes in life like a trooper, though we did put him into therapy just to make sure he has another person to talk to. This post is already very long, so I'll end it here. I'm not sure if I'll post again, but thank you to everyone who has given advice and support. If anyone has questions, I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Last story. Am I the a-hole for unfollowing my ex right after he broke up with me? So, I 20 female and my ex 21 male were together for 2 years. The breakup was kind of sudden. He just texted me out of nowhere one night with one of those, "Thank you for everything, I wish you the best" type of messages. No explanation, no real closure, nothing. I was honestly shocked, mostly because he chose to end it like that over text. So I answered him, and a few minutes later, I saw him posting those "trust God's timing" or "everything happens for a reason" kind of quotes on his story. And since he had literally left me on red and broken up with me that way, I found it super disrespectful and fake. So I unfollowed him right away. For me, that's how I deal with people who are no longer a part of my life. Exes, old friends, anyone. If things get messy, I block. And he knew that about me. But when he noticed I unfollowed him, he completely lost it. He suddenly replied to the breakup message he had ignored, started a whole argument, and even got mad about random stuff like my belongings. He made it a huge deal, as if I had personally attacked him. Now, even 2 months later, our mutual friends keep telling me that he's still mad about the unfollow, like that's what hurt him the most. Apparently, he keeps saying it was disrespectful, and he's still angry about it, even though he's the one who broke up with me. So I'm wondering, is that normal? Do guys really take something like that so personally? Or even for girls, would you be that upset if your ex unfollowed you right after a breakup? I genuinely don't know if I crossed a line or if he's just acting out of ego. Not the a-hole. If you're in a relationship, it's logical to not want to be unfollowed or blocked. Once the relationship ends, that goes right out the window. The second he breaks up with you, you're welcome and entitled to unfollow/block him as much as you want. You owe him nothing further. Thank you so much. And you're right. Once the relationship ends, all that obligation stuff disappears. I don't owe him access to me anymore. It's just hard to break that mindset when you've spent so long trying to understand it all. But hearing it put this way really helped me realize I'm allowed to protect my peace without feeling guilty. So genuinely, thank you for this.